Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I am Enda Multimedia, English education student of Universitas Negeri Semarang. On this video, I would like to present the result of my research entitled Developing Interactive Learning Multimedia Using Articulate Storyline for Teaching Narrative Text to the 10th graders. Well, nowadays, the development of information communication and technology, or ICT, has contributed in completing human work almost in all aspects of life, including education. Teachers in education are supposed to be able to utilize technology to support student learning process. It is strengthened by the Ministerial Regulation Number 65 in 2013, which claimed that ICT is clearly stated as one of the educational principles to increase the efficiency and effectiveness of learning. On the other hand, the learning media used in the learning process at school are limited to Microsoft Office PowerPoint and LKS, which still lacks enthusiasm and curiosity for students in learning materials, especially during this pandemic where students are required to study online from home. Regarding on the development of technology, Articulate Storyline comes as one of software that have many interactive features with the simplicity display to assist educators or teachers in creating interactive learning multimedia. As a result, I considered creating new and interactive learning media to increase students' enthusiasm and curiosity about the learning material taught using Articulate Storyline software. Well, the problems of this research are focused on how is articulate storyline-based interactive learning multimedia developed for teaching narrative text to the 10th graders, and then how feasible is the articulate storyline-based interactive learning multimedia for teaching narrative text to the 10th graders. Related to the research questions, my research objectives are to explain the development process and the feasibility of articulate storyline-based interactive learning multimedia for teaching narrative text to the 10th graders. Besides observing the phenomena, during the research I explored several previous studies that was grouped into 4 parts. The first one is research on interactive learning multimedia in teaching and learning that was conducted on 7 research. And then secondly, research on interactive learning multimedia in teaching narrative text that was conducted on 6 research. And thirdly, research on interactive learning multimedia based on articulate storyline in teaching and learning that was conducted on 7 research. And the last one is research on articulate storyline based interactive learning multimedia to teach narrative text that was conducted only on 1 research. Well, almost all of the previous studies have the identical findings. The differences are only in the software used, the subject matters, and the subject research. Most of these studies show that the interactive learning multimedia in teaching and learning brings in positive responses and influence for students. It also can enhance teachers' creativity in utilizing technological development to create interactive learning multimedia that can support the students' learning process efficient and enjoyable. However, the subjects of those research are still too general. Those research are limited only to the 8th grade and senior high school students without any specific class. Thus, it is possible to get different results if this research is carried out in a different software and more specific research subjects. With the reason in mind, this research has been conducted by utilizing articulate storyline software for teaching narrative text to the 10th graders. This study can be new information for other researchers, teachers, and also students. This study will explain how interactive learning multimedia is developed by using articulate streamlined software that is still rarely used and the feasibility of this media in teaching narrative text, particularly for the 10th graders. As my references, I also included some theories that I consider important. The first theory is about teaching English by Brown 2000, which provides the information about the concept of teaching English and how the implementation of teaching English with technological needs. The second theory is narrative text, which covers information about concept, generic structures, and language features of narrative text, and also about teaching narrative text using technology. The third theory is interactive learning multimedia that discusses the concept, the advantage and disadvantage, elements, and criteria of interactive learning multimedia. The last theory is about articulate streamline that provide information about general concept, features, and the articulate streamline utilization in the development of interactive learning media. After reviewing the previous study and also the theoretical review, I tried to formulate the theoretical framework as this. Well, the problem came from the case that students are less active in the learning process, both online and offline. Therefore, I try to develop interactive learning multimedia to increase students' enthusiasm in the learning process using articulate streamline by adopting the ADDIE development model procedure by Dick and Carey. This procedure includes validation export and the implementation of the learning media to the subject research. If most of the subject research give negative response or several suggestions to be revised, the learning media is need to be improved. Besides, if the results of the subject research questionnaires have positive response and there is nothing suggestions to be revised, the learning media is feasible to be tested on the subject research and ready to be applied in a larger field. My research design is Research and Development or R&D that adopted the ADDIE development model by Dick and Carey, 1996. The subject research of this study are the English teacher and 20 students of class 10 IPS 2 SMA Ma'arif and U1 Kemeraja. The reason for choosing the subject research was because of the simplicity and relative monotony learning media used during the learning process in the class. Consequently, the students' enthusiasm for learning decreased and affected the students' learning outcomes. Now we go to the procedure of the development. Firstly, in the analysis stage, there are performance and need analysis, and then in the design stage, I designed the flowchart and storyboard of the media. And then in the development stage, there are designed product realization using articulate streamline software, and then experts validation and the first revision. Then I conducted the limited trial in the implementation stage. Second revision was carried out if needed. And the last is evaluation stage, and the final product has been completed in the last stage. After gathering the data, I then processed the data based on the experts validation scale on the data validation and learning media qualification scale for the subject research. The symbol M on the experts validation scale is interpreted as validity score of indicators or aspect. According to Arshad, in 2016 and valid in 2017, the formula to find response percentage is total of positive response divided by total of respondents, then times 100%. The symbol RS on the learning media qualification scale is interpreted as respondent score. Now we move to the main point of this presentation, which is the findings. The findings of my research are about the development process and the feasibility of articulate streamline-based interactive learning multimedia for teaching narrative text to the 10th graders. Now we go to the process of developing this learning media. Firstly, in the analysis stage, I conducted observation at SMA Ma'arif and Ustadz Kemranjen by observing the learning activities in the classroom in order to analyze the learning media used by the teacher in supporting learning activities. Then, in the design stage, I began to design the flow chart and the storyboard of this interactive learning media by considering the results of these observations. The following stage was development, in which my designed learning media was developed and then validated by the material and media experts. After validating the learning media, the implementation stage began with a limited trial of 20 students from class 10 IPS 2 SMA Ma'arif and Ustadz Kemranjen. Following the limited trial, teachers and students were given a questionnaire to evaluate and provide feedback on the interactive learning media. The final stage was the evaluation stage. However, due to the material and time limitation, I limited this research only to the implementation stage. Well, the second finding is about the feasibility of articulate storyline-based interactive learning media for teaching narrative text to the 10th graders. Well, we can see on the screen, the material feasibility assessment includes content and learning aspect, which consists of 23 assessment points. The total score obtained if each assessment point has a perfect score is 92. In this study, the total score obtained was 89 with an average score of 3.86, which is included in the very valid category because M or the validity score is more than equal to 3 and less than equal 4, interpreted that the material in the learning media is feasible to be tested. On the other hand, the media feasibility assessment includes display and programming aspect, which consists of 22 assessment points. The total score obtained if each assessment point has a perfect score is 88. In this study, the total score obtained was 85 with an average score of 3.86. It is similar to the material feasibility assessment. However, there are some suggestions from the media expert on the learning media to be revised. The media expert's suggestions concerned image size, display mode in the mobile phone, navigation case, project group commands, and reference adjustments. Well, based on the result on these tables, the learning media was evaluated positively by the students with an average percentage of 96.67% and the teacher with an average response of 4.9, interpreted as effective because more than 50% respondents give a positive response to at least 70% of aspects number questioned. Regarding on these findings, the developed interactive learning media using articulate storyline is feasible to be tested on the subject research. Well, the last part of this presentation is conclusion. The process of developing articulate storyline-based interactive learning media using ADI development model was successfully resolved properly according to the designed product. However, several obstacles were encountered while creating this educational media. Because of the limited knowledge of the articulate storyline software, I learned self-taught by relying on YouTube tutorials to create this media. Unfortunately, not all of the required information was available on the website or YouTube tutorials. Therefore, I must have more effort in learning and exploring the software. On the other hand, this software has numerous interactive features available freely to be used. In addition, the display on this software as simple as Microsoft PowerPoint, so that user will not be confused with the programming language. Well, based on the findings, we know together that the developed interactive learning multimedia using articulate storyline is feasible to be tested on the limited trial consisting of an English teacher and 20 students of 10 IPS 2 at SMA Ma'arif NU 1 Kumrajan and ready to be applied in a larger field, both offline and online. Well, I think that's all of these presentations. I hope the information can be beneficial for all of us. Thank you very much.